waited for in North America.
The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers. Back to throw Montana. Steph throws. This fight is over. Floyd Mayweather has a knockout victory over Ricky Hatton. Smiling. Oh! He slapped him! Conor McGregor is the new UFC featherweight champion of the world! Oh! Unbelievable!
Welcome back to Championship Rounds. It's your boy Marcel Pierre, and today we're joined by, that's right, Vladimir. Named him after Vladimir Klitschko, as I mentioned in the last video. But yeah, glad to have everybody back. Got a big UFC fight coming up this weekend. UFC 256, headlined by Davison Figueiredo and the streaking Brandon Moreno. Got a lot to get into that. I want to give you my picks. I do a lot of betting. I win some, I lose some. But you know what? I'm way up. I'm playing with house money. I'm playing with DraftKings money. So I'm just going to give you my picks. And if you want to win with your boy, you know what I mean? Put some skin in the game and do just that. Just wanted to introduce little Vladimir here. I'm going to set him down. He's in the room with me. If you hear some whining or anything like that, you'll know exactly where it's coming from. All right, let me set him down and let's get into this, because I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes here. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to go from, I know a lot of people like to go from the smaller fights down or up to the main event. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go from the main event down, because these are my picks. All right, so the main event, you got Davison Figueiredo. Now, Davison Figueiredo just defended his title 3 weeks ago. So that's historic. He's going to turn around and headline 2 pay-per-views in less than a month in a span of 3 weeks. Historic. Davison Figueiredo also has 1 loss on his record. And that 1 loss comes from a unanimous decision loss to Jussier Formiga. And a lot of people say he won that fight. And if he did win that fight, as I mentioned, the man would be undefeated. Davison Figueiredo became the 125-pound champion, obviously after Henry Cejudo. He gave the belt up when he went up to 135, captured that belt, and then retired. So Figueiredo was put in a match with Joseph Benavidez, and he didn't make weight. However, he finished Joseph Benavidez. During the fight, the two clashed heads, and Joseph Benavidez said that threw off his equilibrium, which led to the finish. I don't give that much smoke because the two rematched, and Figueiredo finished him quicker. So obviously, and not to mention, the clashing of heads was initiated by Benavidez, so he really didn't have any room to even complain about the clashing of heads. Now, not the missing of weight notwithstanding. All right, so let me get into this. So again, Figueiredo sitting at 20 wins, 1 loss, 9 KOs, and 8 submissions. Very, very impressive. He's the champion. Let's get into Moreno real quick. Moreno, he's got a submission loss to one Alexandre Pantoja. And why am I pointing that out first? He's got the submission loss on the Ultimate Fighter to Alexandre Pantoja. They don't count the Ultimate Fighter wins and losses as official because they are deemed exhibition bouts. Well, they also fought Moreno and Pantoja in the UFC officially, and Moreno lost a unanimous decision. Well, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Figueiredo has a unanimous decision win over Alexandre Pantoja, which was fight of the night. So that means it was probably a close fight. Now, I know people are like, oh, you can't do MMA math. You can't do MMA math. No, I'm not trying to do MMA math. I'm just trying to show, like, there is a thing about MMA. There are levels to this. Like, you can be a really good mixed martial artist, but there are people out there that are great. There's this curve that once you get over that curve, like, you're one of those guys. Moreno just isn't one of those guys, thus far. He could break through at some point. I mean, these fighters are getting better and better as time goes. So he could get there. I just think that he's getting this title shot a little too soon than what he's ready for. Because his last fight against a guy who was really good that I actually bet on, who I still have a lot of high promise for, who I think of in very high regards, Brandon Royval. So Moreno picked up the finish win against him, but really, Royval dislocated his arm. That fight was very competitive and could have went either way. Who knows? All I'm saying is that Moreno has shown that once he's gone up to that level where those guys are legit, Alexandre Pantoja level, that he doesn't win those fights. So meanwhile, you have Deiveson Figueiredo, who has wins over the top guys. So I'm not trying to do MMA math. I'm just trying to say that Figueiredo has fought at a level and looked better than Moreno has. And aside from that, I'm just going to say that my pick here is indeed the champion, and still Deiveson Figueiredo. All right. Moving down to the co-main event. I will not be betting on this fight. This fight is like a pick'em. You got Charles Oliveira on one side, which I'm sure a lot of people don't even know, unless you're been following MMA pretty closely, or you're Brazilian, or you just, one or the other, whatever, for whatever reason. A lot of people don't know him because he doesn't get a lot of promotion. He doesn't get a lot of push. But the man is the leading finisher. He's tied, I think, with Cerrone for most finishes in UFC history. He's got the most submission wins in UFC history. He's had 25 UFC fights, and only 2 of those fights has gone to decision. He was 12-0 when he came into the UFC, and he's lost 8 times. You do the math. 25 fights. Only went to decision twice. He's currently on, I think, let me see here. I got some notes here on him. He's currently on a win streak here. Yeah, 7-fight win streak. But the thing I want to say about that 7-fight win streak is his best win is against Kevin Lee. All right? Now, a lot of people hold Kevin Lee in very, very high regard. I do myself. But again, like I said, Kevin Lee couldn't get past Al Iaquinta twice. There are levels to this, okay? So if Oliveira, this is more MMA math, I know. But like I'm saying, I'm just trying to show the levels. MMA math be damned. I'm trying to show the levels. So Oliveira got past Kevin Lee. But how big of a win was that? Okay? It was a big win. But how big? I'll leave that for you to decide. So, the reason why I'm pointing out that again, Kevin Lee couldn't get past Iaquinta. Okay, Ferguson also got past Kevin Lee. Finished him. Alright? Both of them finished Kevin Lee. Both of them did. So, Kevin Lee's a wrestler. These guys have good grappling jiu-jitsu. They both submitted Kevin Lee. Take that for what it's worth. At the end of the day, that's his biggest win. Now, if you look at Tony Ferguson, the man was on a 12-fight win streak in the hardest division in the sport, the lightweight division, 155 UFC, and he was supposed to fight Khabib so many times, but one of them had to pull out for one reason or another. And then, he looked like a shell of himself in that Gaethje fight where he took a beating. Now, how much you want to take away from that, from him having to cut weight 2 different times, in very, very short, order? All I'm saying is that the man was on a 12-fight win streak. That was a pretty steep fall off of the cliff in that Gaethje fight. But I don't think that's going to be the Ferguson that we're going to get going forward. I think that he's going to go in there and show that, again, there are levels to this. Charles Oliveira is very high level, decorated. But Charles Oliveira also got finished by Paul Felder. Elbows. And if you know Tony Ferguson, the man has some of the most disgusting elbows in the sport. John Jones too. We're not talking about John Jones, but Ferguson has the jiu-jitsu. Oliveira's got the jiu-jitsu. They're both red hot coming in here. I'm not betting on this one, but if you had to, pull my freaking arm off over it, I'm going to pick Ferguson. But again, I'm not betting on this one. So don't count this one as one of my picks. I just wanted to highlight that fight. All right. What we got next here? We got, just did the Oliveira. Okay, we got Mackenzie Dern versus Verna Jandiroba. Sorry. All right. So, obviously, off the top, people, will recognize the name Mackenzie Dern. I understand that. She's a jiu-jitsu world champion multiple time. She came into the UFC with a big name. She had some trouble making weight, but she was winning fights. But she lost to a woman who's a good woman fighter. Fighter. Let me not be sexist. She's a good fighter. I think it was Amanda Ribas. Yeah, she lied. Unanimous decision to Amanda Ribas. And like I said, she's a good fighter. The thing about women's MMA is I think coming up, these fighters want to have good records, especially in women's MMA, to get a name, all right? Your Ronda Rouseys, your Joanna Jędrzejczyks, your Chris Cyborgs, I could keep going. Good records. And then they also had something else that made them marketable, all right? So, are they really fighting good talent to get the record that they have? And that's that's one of the reasons why I have to, I suggest people that bet on fights, bet on women's fights. Underdogs cash in way more than in men's fights because we don't really know these women's levels. Now, like I said, the sexy pick here is Mackenzie Dern because people know the name. She submitted Randy Marcos pretty damn quick. She looked good doing it. She lost to Amanda Ribas. But everybody, they know her. Do they know Verna Jandiroba? I don't think they do. But I do. Not really well, but I've seen her fight. I've seen her finish 2 fighters in the UFC, one being Felice Herrick, submission. I know she's got, from my notes I took, I know she's got 13 finishes by submission. So she's got jiu-jitsu as well. And she's got more MMA experience than Mackenzie Dern. So yes, boom, I'm picking Verna. That's my second pick, Verna Jandiroba. Mark it down. That's who I'm picking to win. Upset. Happening. All right. Next we got Kevin Holland, red hot, versus Jacare Souza. Now, I don't know if I'll be adding this to my parlay or not. I'm kind of on the fence. And I'll tell you why. Jacare Souza, since he had a great UFC career. Great career in Strikeforce. The man came over to the UFC and he's won fights. He's won fights and he's had a lot of very, very close fights that could have went either way that he's lost. It's almost been the story of his little run in the UFC. But now, you're like, okay, well, he's obviously high level. He's fighting nothing but the high level. But he's 41 years old now. And then you got Kevin Holland, who I think is 28 years old. He's coming in here. Yeah, he's got his losses, but he's been looking really good as of late. But he hasn't fought anybody the caliber of Jacare Souza. So it's like, who do I pick here? Like, do I pick the younger guy that has been looking really good as of late on a little win streak right now? Or do I pick Jacare Souza, who is a dangerous guy that could definitely win, but has shown that he's been gassing a little bit earlier than what he used to, maybe due to his age and his style of fight? I don't know. But if I had gun to my head, I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. I'm going to go with the guy that has the biggest gas tank. So if I do add this fight to my parlay, it will be Kevin Holland over Jacare Souza, and likely by finish. But, won't be surprised if it goes to a decision. But if it does, I know that Kevin Holland would have been the busier fighter. And what do I always say? Busier fighters win fights. All right. Next we got Junior Dos Santos versus Cyril Gane, however you say it. They're fighting. Heavyweight fight. Junior Dos Santos is coming off of 3 knockout losses. So already people are like, okay, well, he's washed. He's done. Okay, but who are these guys that he got knocked out by? Jairzinho Rozenstruik, knockout artist, devastating. Francis Ngannou, knocked out Rozenstruik, among other people, devastating knockout artist. And then Curtis Razor Blades, who is a great wrestler that took him down and rode on him, and I think TKO'd him up against the fence. So, who's he fighting right now? Cyril Gane, who is 6-0. 6-0. Muay Thai guy. I don't think he's the caliber striker or grappler as far as wrestling goes as the people that just defeated Junior Dos Santos. So, I'm going Junior Dos Santos. Off top. Cyril hasn't been out here finishing anybody of note. I'm going with Junior. He's the guy with all the high-level experience. And the only thing I'm worried about is how much his chin can still take. Even though he's fighting a guy that isn't known for his knockout ability, it is the heavyweight division, and things can get messy. But still, I will be adding Junior Dos Santos to my parlay. All right, moving on. We got Cub Swanson versus Daniel Pineda. All right, Daniel Pineda's 35, Cub Swanson's 37. Both of these guys are right there around the same age. How do I separate them? Okay, this is how I'm going to separate them. Pineda hasn't fought anybody. You know what I mean? He hasn't fought anybody. Cub Swanson has been fighting all the hitters, all the guys that are either going up to fight for a title or get very, very close. He's been fighting all the names. He's not done. Now, Cub Swanson historically has found ways to lose fights, but he's not going to find a way to lose this fight. Mark it down. Cub Swanson beats Daniel Pineda because Pineda just flat out hasn't fought anybody. And has already lost to lesser caliber than Cub Swanson. So, again, don't do MMA math, but mark it down. Cub Swanson is getting the W. And I'm going to say by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cub gets that freaking finish. Either by submission or KO, because he's very well-rounded. All right, moving right along, we got Renato Moicano versus Rafael Fiziev. All right, Fiziev is 8-1, and his last fight was the fight of the night against Mark DeCasey. Again, levels to this. If you're having a fight of the night performance against a guy like Mark DeCasey, who's a great striker but has very little gas tank, very little cardio, guy gasses, becomes very, very less busy than he was in the early rounds. Levels to this. You had a fight of the night with him. Okay, close fight. Who's across? Renato Moicano, who's been fighting, again, all the hitters. The only guys he's lost to recently have been Chan Sung Jung and Jose Aldo. All right, levels. If you're not fighting the caliber this guy over here is fighting, which he wins fights at that level too, but you've already lost. You're losing to guys that are lesser level. Who you think's gonna win this fight? Hanato. That's who. Hanato Moicano over Rafael Fiziev. Mark that down. Gonna be a part of the parlay. We're almost done here. Moving along. We got Gavin Tucker versus Billy Quarantina. How can you pick against a guy named Billy Quarantillo? Tio. However you say it. With these times going on. The times of quarantine. And he's been looking red hot. Been finishing guys. Pretty sure his last fight he knocked out a guy pretty impressively. And he's fighting a guy 12-1 in Gavin Tucker. You're like, okay, great record. Billy's 15-2. Billy's on an 8-fight win streak. Gavin's looking really good, but I feel like Billy's that guy right now, just by the eye test. You can take that for what it's worth. Your eye might be a different test, but by my eye test between these two, I'm going with Billy, putting him on the freaking parlay. Let's go. We got a few more. Actually, this is the last fight of this card that I'm putting any type of smoke onto or any type of attention. We got we got Tisha Torres versus Sam Hughes. I'm guessing that's Samantha Hughes. I'm guessing. Women's MMA. What can you say? Anyways, Hughes doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Tisha Torres, been in the UFC for quite some time now. Looked very, very impressive in her last fight. Who do you think I'm putting in my parlay? Tisha Tiny Tornado Torres. Alright? Last thing I want to say is, like I said, those are my picks. I'm going to be putting that bread down on my next show or whenever I record after the fights have taken place. I'll recap it. But those are my picks. UFC 256. I'm definitely all in on it. Let's go. Gonna be a good card. So even if you're not betting, tune in for some excellent high-level mixed martial arts with a title fight and with Oliveira and Tony Ferguson at the top of the marquee. That's right. Last thing I want to get to is Bellator MMA had a show. Bellator MMA has went to Hawaii when the UFC refuses to do so. They've been celebrating their women's champion, Alima Lay McFarlane. She's been looking really, really good. You can say whatever type level of competition she's getting over there. She lost her belt to, I think, what was it? Jen Velasquez? I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Juliana Velasquez. My bad. No relation to Cain Velasquez that I know of. Anyway, so we got a new champion over there. Big blow to Bellator right there. We don't know how marketable Juliana will be, but you know they're going to definitely book an instant rematch between the two. Definitely. Because they put a lot of promotion behind McFarlane, and she's a good fighter. We'll see what happens. Because she could have had that Ronda Rousey syndrome where she was finishing people on the ground because she was able to get the fight into her realm, but when she wasn't, she got beat. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. But definitely count on that rematch happening. And the last thing I'm going to touch on right now is BKFC happening tonight. You got, I'm not even going to say anything about the main event. There's only one fight I want to say something about, and that's Tyler Goodjohn, who is a former boxer, currently has a record of, I think he's 1-0 in BKFC right now. That's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, if you don't know what that is. He was 13-5 in boxing. He's fighting a guy named Charles Felony Bennett. All right. This guy is hilarious. Always in great fights. Definitely a fight to watch. Definitely going to be fireworks. The guy brings it. Charles Bennett is 30-41 in mixed martial arts, if you take anything from that. All right. I've already bored everybody to death with these picks, but hopefully I don't bore your pockets to death if you're game enough to again put some skin in the game like your boy. Now, like I said, everybody hits me up. They say, Marcel, what's your picks? What's your picks? Hey, those are my picks. Count on them cashing in. And until next time, like this Bud Light Platinum and that bottle of Buffalo Trace right there, stay frosty.